everybody. Welcome to the Flipside. I'm Sam.
I'm JT.
This is our top 5, the cream of the crop, spooky games that you could play on Halloween for a spooky great time.
That's right.
My heaviest game is a 3.7.
I don't even want to say because I know I'm going to be on this list or on the whole list.
Okay. Well, let's do that. The whole list, my heaviest is a 3.7. The whole list, my average is a 2.45. On this one, this top half actually houses the heavier games of my list.
Nice.
That's
Okay.
which is kind of a flip-flop for me.
Yep.
But as far as spooky horror stuff is concerned, I kind of like the heavier stuff.
Nice. My average was a 2.49 overall, but my heaviest was less than yours at a 3.54. And like I said, I got 2 really light games. One of those light games was on the last list. One of them is on this list. So
this is really a opposite days list for us because generally speaking, his lowest complexity game is higher than my highest ranked complexity game.
Not high.
It's pretty close.
Pretty close sometimes.
It's pretty close. Definitely higher than my average most of the time.
I had the lowest number this time, and you have the highest number.
I did.
So.
I kind of split it up this way. If you have board gamers coming over for a Halloween party,
this is the list. This is the half.
This is the half. My other half, the 6 through 10, was like if you have a bunch of friends that may or may not be board gamers coming over.
I did not make that distinction.
I didn't really either. It's just that after I look at the two halves, I think it definitely has that distinction.
All right.
My number 5 is a game from Sore Loser Games called Rise of the Necromancers. Rise of the Necromancers is a really neat game where you are trying to be the necromancer that leads all the necromancers after you have had your butt kicked by the forces of light.
That sounds pretty spooky.
You're coming back, and you're going to kick the forces of light's butt from top to bottom, and you want to be top dog in that entire process. That's generally what you're doing in this one. There's a lot of different stuff that kind of goes along with that, but generally speaking, there's some dice rolling in it. There is some resource management as far as picking it up and knowing when to use it in certain places. You're having to defeat cities with your minions of darkness. You're building up your armies and all of that kind of stuff. It's a really fun game. That was like super loud.
Sorry.
And it's just a really fun Halloween-ish kind of game, but it is a little bit more for the board gamers that are out there. Probably wouldn't be a very good gateway game for some of your friends that you're introducing to the hobby. It's 2.29, so it's not really a heavy game.
No.
But it's got some complexity there. Okay. That's my number 5. Rise of the Necromancers.
All right, my number 5. Now, I had if you watch the other half on the Dice Tower, I had a party game over there. And this is another party game.
What is happening?
What is happening? These are the best 2 party games that I know. Okay. Now, this one's actually a really, really... This one might be one of my favorite party games.
Really?
The more I play it, the more I love it.
Huh.
This game is from Indie Board and Cards, and it is called Don't Mess with Cthulhu, which is a really, really smart mantra to have. It's something you should do. But in Don't Mess with Cthulhu, you're playing with a bunch of other players. Depending on how many you play with, I think it'll go up to 8. There's a bunch of investigation cards, and on the investigation cards, there's one Cthulhu card, and then there's a bunch of these rune cards. I can't remember what they're called. Anyways, there's a bunch of these rune cards, and basically, you're going to get a hidden role. You're either going to be a cultist, and you're trying to find the Cthulhu card, or you're going to be an investigator, and you're trying to find a certain number of these rune cards. Okay, and they're all dealt
the gate.
Huh?
To close the gate.
Yep. And they're all dealt together. You're going to deal everybody 5 cards. And then everybody can say anything they want during this game. You just can't tell anybody what your role is. So I could look at my 5 cards and you put them all face down. I could be like, I have 2, I have 2 runes in there. They're not called runes. I think I might have, did I write it down?
Artifacts?
Elder signs.
Sorry,
that makes way more sense. But you could say I have 2 elder signs in here. And the other people, the other people that are investigators might be like, okay, well, I'm going to flip over your. And what's going to happen is if you have 6 people at table, every round's going to have the same number of turns as the. So if I start first and you tell me you have 2 elder signs over there, then I'm going to put the marker on one of your cards and we're going to flip it over. So you never know who the cultist is, and you never know. So if it's an empty card that I flip over, I'm like, oh, maybe he's lying. Of course, it could be 2 out of the 5. It could have just been really bad luck, which is really cool because as a cultist, you can hide pretty well in here. But if you're a cultist and you say I have Cthulhu in my hand, or if you're somebody, then you know that the other investigators aren't going to go for it. So. Right. But it has this thing, so if I pick one of Sam's, then he gets to pick next. So, and they continue picking and picking for the 6 turns, and then all the cards are going to come together, and everybody's going to get 4, and it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And the whole time you're trying to tell lies or lead the other investigators to pick from you, stuff like that. So if you're a cultist and you have the thing in there and you say, I have 3 elder signs in here because you want somebody to pick Cthulhu out of your hand, They're just
so when
all
Cthulhu
of this
is revealed, the cultists
win.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Or if it goes through 4 rounds, which means that all cards except for 1 each basically have been picked, and the investigators haven't got the elder signs yet, they lose and the cultists win. But so it's just this really cool social deduction. Everybody's lying about something.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to hide. If if you don't feel comfortable lying or whatever else, it's really easy to hide in this game if you're a cultist.
That's actually a cool thing because that's one of the things that a lot of people really talk about the most. Is, at least in my conversations with social deduction games, if you're new to learning the game, you don't really know what you're doing yet. If you get stuck with that odd man out characteristic, whatever it is, if you're the in Spyfall, if you're the spy, or in that one, if you're the, it can be really hard for you to play the game well, and it makes the experience for everybody kind of less.
Yeah, it makes it hard for everybody. And this one, it's really easy to hide. You can just tell the truth. You could tell an easy lie. But even if somebody says, 100% I'm the investigator, and you're picking from them, nobody's ever going to know until you actually investigate what cards they have. So
understood.
So it's really cool.
Cool. All right, my number 4. It's a 2.3 complexity level. And this one is one of the OG zombie games that was out there, at least for board games that are concerned. There were a lot of dice games that are out there before, but this one is called Last Night on Earth. And, we talked in the other list about tropes and that type of thing. This is the absolute tropish zombie game that is absolutely out there, but this one has a little bit more of a visceral, a little bit more of a dark theme wrapped around it. Run, Fight, or Die is like bright colors, bright color dice, bright color zombies, all this other kind of stuff. Last Night on Earth is very has a very realistic look to it, if I can say that about a zombie game.
Yep.
The way Flying Frog Productions designed it and had the graphic artists work on it, all that kind of stuff. They actually used real photographs that they took of real actors and actresses, and then they did graphic design around that to make it
grittiness. Too.
Yeah, super gritty, a little gory, but not so much so that, we're talking about a zombie board game, so if you're worried about gore, you probably should look elsewhere. But that's what this is. It's basically all of those zombie movies of yore in a board game. They aren't the runners that you get from 28 Days After. They're not the the jacked up Umbrella Corporation zombies that you get from Resident Evil. They're not any of that stuff. They're the slow walkers and slow crawlers, and it's basically you're just having to follow a scenario goal to get out of town or to save everybody that's in. You got to go around, find some survivors, that kind of stuff. It just depends on the scenario you're playing. It is an older game, so there are some, I guess what you might be able to consider some antiquated things. It actually came with a CD.
Nice.
Of like ambient music you can play in the background. But anyway, it's just a really fun game. Very tropish, but still very fun. Last Night on Earth, my number 4.
Sweet. That's a cool pick. All right, my number 4 spoiler, is a crossover from the last list, and it's a solo player game called Final Girl from Van Ryder Games. In Final Girl, you are taking on the Final Girl, the last person that's the last hero that might be able to destroy the monster or complete whatever you need to do. Mostly it's destroying the evil monster.
Yep.
But you're taking on a very thematic scenario where you're getting chased around by this thing. There's bystanders around that you're trying to save before the killer gets to kill them and everything else. This is a great thematic game. It's a super fun. The mechanics in it are really good.
Yep.
But it is a super fun solo game. For this month in particular, I don't know if I already told you I'm doing this, but I decided that I'm going to play all 10 scenarios. So it's actually 11. There are 5 in the first season. There's 5 in the second season. And then I have the Santa versus, or the Krampus versus Miss Claus one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to play all 11 of them.
That's cool.
I've already played 3. I lost to Hans the Butcher in Happy Trails, whatever it is, at the camp, who is the Jason, horror guy. I lost to him. I lost to the Poltergeist badly, trying to find the little girl, Caroline, and get her out of the house. I lost her.
Is she Caroline in the game?
Is.
Oh my goodness!
And you have to find her in the decks. It's freaking crazy.
Oh, it's Caroline. It's not Carol Ann.
Carol Ann.
It's
that's
Carol
right.
Ann in the movie.
I think it's Caroline in this, but I could be wrong. But I tried to find her, and I got demolished by the Poltergeist already.
Yeah.
And then I beat the living crap out of the Witch Doctor. So I'm 1 for 3 so far. We'll see where I get when I'm done with the 11 in a row. But
you need to make shorts after every game.
I could try. What's the short going to say?
Just a little short. Hey, got my butt kicked by whomever.
There you
Final
go.
Girl.
But anyways, I'm 3 in. I just set up the carnival. I'm getting ready to fight against the Puppet Master. It's sitting on my table. So I'm going to go through all 11 of them. I might even do the shorts. So there's one that's the birds.
Don't feel like you have to, but that would be a cool thing.
No, that would be a cool thing.
The birds?
There's one like the birds.
The boys.
Yep. And then there's also a little zombie apocalypse one, too.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to go through those just for fun. That's my number 4, Final Girl.
That's a good one. I had it as my number 10. Again, we already spoiled it, but I had it as my number 10 because of player count only. It would definitely be in my top 5 if we kind of threw that arbitrary restriction out the window.
Yep, right on.
There we go. Good one. Good pick. Heaviest game on this list.
Ooh,
you know what it is?
I can't wait.
3.7.
3.7. Oh,
you know
that's back to where I was at.
You know what it is?
3.7, I don't know what it is.
Don't know what it is.
No.
It's one of your favorite games of all time.
Cthulhu Death May Die?
Negative.
Oh.
I don't know. This one's heavier than Cthulhu Death May Die. This is called Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, Darkest Dungeon.
The reason that
I
this
did
one
have
made
this
it,
one on my short list.
The reason this one made it is because it definitely has that visceral, horrific.
Sure. Yeah.
If we run out of light, if our torch runs out, we are in deep kimchi.
Yep.
And that is why that this is here. It does have a lot of accounting that you have to do over the course of the game. But for me at least, the theme super just overdoes all of that.
Sure.
Doesn't bother me. Usually that kind of stuff bothers me. In this game, it doesn't bother me because the theme is so visceral. It's there, and it's so in your face. Really enjoy this a lot. Basically what you are is your party is a bunch of travelers, adventurers that have come together to try to reclaim the estate from its crumbled current thing. And you've been invited, you've answered the call to the ancestor who has brought you here to try to clear his estate's name. And you're going through and you're trying to defeat all of these weird-looking baddies. You know, there's like water-themed baddies in one. There's, your skeletons and Draugr-type baddies in another. It's just a lot of really great spookiness wrapped up
100%.
into this. It's of course based on the video game from Red Hook, and which is also a great experience as well.
Yep.
But this is the board game version of it, and they've done a great job. The designers were die-hard Darkest Dungeon fans.
The implementation is off the charts for what it was.
Absolutely.
And where it went.
But a lot of the complexity comes from having to do all of that accounting.
Sure.
The general idea of the game is not that complex, but all of the stuff that you have to keep track of. That's where the complexity comes from. Really a great game. Really enjoy this a lot. My number 3, Darkest Dungeon.
That is really a great game. It was on my short list. I just didn't know if I wanted to pull it out for Halloween or not. But, all right, my number 3 is a definite you must play in October at least once a year. You can play it multiple times a year if you want. It's an awesome game. But it is the theme of themes for Halloween parties. And it is called Monsters on Board. In Monsters on Board, you are drafting dice, which are lords. These dark lords, basically. You're bringing them to your party, so you're actually setting up a table, and this table needs these dice to be in a specific combination. It might be color-based, it might be number-based, it might be anything else, but you're bringing in these dungeon lords to fill up your table to meet your requirements for that spacing. But as you bring them in, the first thing you do after you draft a dice is they come down into this little area, and depending on the color of the dice, it will move your monsters around town, because you have this octopus monster and this skeleton and all these guys, and you're sending them through the town based on the dice you draft to basically scare up, get some spook juice. It's all about spook juice for the party.
Is that what it's literally called?
Yeah, it's called spook juice. Yeah. So you're collecting spook juice for your party. You're sending your monsters through the town to scare everybody. Of course, there's a bunch of victory points involved in the end of the game. Like you said, you're trying to make these patterns. Every single dice has a number on it, so then that number might fit into your pattern, but they also have symbols on them that do different actions. So you're drafting a dice for the symbols, you're drafting it for the number, you're drafting it for the color, and all of these different things, which is really cool. And then you're basically trying to... You have these spider jack dice that are on the side of your board, and you can only score certain depth into any row based on how far you can get those spider jack, because you want spider jack to be really excited to come to your party. So you're trying to also get his dice rolled up to a 6 so that you could score the entire row. That's really the basis of the game. There's a purchasing. You're going to get malice from doing different things, and malice is your currency, where you can buy ghosts to upgrade the spots on your town board, or you can buy these these lord cards. I don't know why I want to say dungeon pets so bad. That's not part of this game. But you buy these lord cards that give you end of game scoring and different things like that, maybe even a couple abilities as well. So it's just a really cool game. It's a very beautiful game. The production is really cool. The monsters are all these little plastic different colored minis. And you have the little cars that drive around to drop off the lords. It's just a really cool game. So, and I like it a lot. I like the mechanics of this game a lot.
Component quality is super high as well.
Yep.
Component quality is super high. Very fun game.
There are a couple of niggling issues with components. You know, when you get really cutesy with your components, every once in a while you kind of mess up a little bit. There's these little obelisks that kind of tip over too much. I'm going to drill them out and put lead in the bottom of them at one point in time, but I haven't done that yet. But other than that, the components are really awesome.
All right, cool beans.
My number 3, Monsters on Board.
Good pick. All right, my number 2 is the quintessential horror survival game of this list.
Okay.
It's also the OG. Uses a system called the Crossroads system that is amazingly well done. I love it.
This is your number 2?
This is my number 2, Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game. And this is a 3.01, so it is on the heavier side of the list as 4 games in this list. But it, I think, is worth every penny of it as far as complexity is concerned. If you like The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead or any of those kinds of things as far as TV shows are concerned, or if you like any kind of those zombie genre type of movies or shows, this is a board game that I think will really relate to you and your likes. It takes that idea of a bunch of survivors in a colony doing their best to survive, having to go out on runs for supplies, running into people on those supply runs, having to make decisions based upon the crossroads card that you get for that thing. You might run into zombies, all of this kind of stuff, having to fight those things off, being careful not to be too loud. During all of these things are mechanisms that are baked into the game that really make it a thematic experience. Yep. Such a thematic experience. And if you like the whole idea of Walking Dead, the show and the comic books and the graphic novels and all of that kind of stuff, I think it would have been like printing gold if they had gotten the Walking Dead franchise.
Oh, can you imagine?
As the IP for this game.
Before that, though, right? It came out before?
It was slightly before
yeah, it was before.
And then,
So they should be getting royalties from the Walking Dead for using their ideas. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know which came first. It's the whole chicken-egg problem here.
Somebody did it first.
This is absolutely Walking Dead, the board game, without having the IP on there. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what this feels like. And I, as far as spooky games are concerned, this is one that I would probably gravitate towards the most if I'm choosing what game we're going to play for that
so
whole...
very thematic.
But Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game, my number 2.
I can't believe this is your number 2.
Why?
Why? Because that's my number 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah!
Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game, is my number 2 as well, for all the things you said.
Are we going to have...
I don't know if it's possible, but yeah, that's my number 2. For everything you just said, I don't really have any more to add to that. You have to manage your colony. You have characters that can obviously die, and you have like characters that you're taking care of inside the colony that don't really do anything but eat all of your food.
Yep.
The other piece of this is each of your characters kind of has a personality, and you kind of get your own card and your own goal.
Yep.
Like I might be somebody that's really scared of starving, so I might want to hoard food. But in hoarding food, I might withhold food from the colony and feeding everybody, which is a mess because now I'm holding food and we're losing people because people are starving to death, but I don't care because I want my food. Like, it's this whole thing.
Dude, this is so much fantastic. Fear the Walking Dead. This is so much Walking Dead. I just got through watching it up. I'm going back and watching Fear the Walking Dead. I think I'm in season 3 or 4 right now. And one of the episodes, one of the people was actually taking food out of the pantry and putting it in a car outside their compound and hoarding it for themselves just in case.
Yep.
I can't, it's like super thematic. Super thematic.
So that's my number 2, Dead of Winter.
Super good. Man, it'd be so cool if this was your number 1. This is Cthulhu Death May Die.
It's not my number 1.
Dang it!
I did not put this
Why
one on
can't
the
you
list.
not be cool sometimes? Anyway, Cthulhu Death May Die is, I think, in my opinion, it's one of those games that theme and mechanisms mesh so well. And you can have things happen, like, for example, I haven't played this game a lot, but it's been such a striking... The 2 games they were polar opposite experiences. One was a super short game where one of us died super early. Nothing we could really do about it, but it was still a very thematic thing to happen for the game to end. The other one was a full game where I think we won. We completed the scenario. We did everything we were supposed to do, and it was just so many different things happened throughout the course of the game. It was such a memorable experience that it has just solidified itself in my mind as one of the better spooky horror-themed games that's out there. And
it really is that good.
It's so good. And production quality, mechanisms, theme, artwork, everything is just like hitting on all cylinders as far as I'm concerned. So that's why it's my number 1. I think it would be a great experience. I did say upper half of this list, the top 5 is going to be for definitely like a gamer's type experience. My bottom 5 was more of a kind of an open-ended gateway type experience party situation. But this is the one that you know, if we were having you over for Halloween, I would say let's play Cthulhu Death May Die.
Just so you know, I already told Mel this morning, actually, that we're playing this before Halloween.
Before Halloween? No, you got to play it on Halloween, man.
I don't know what's going on Halloween. We'll play it before Halloween and on Halloween.
Make them
but
plans,
I don't know what your plans are for Halloween. But anyways, we need to plan on playing this in October.
0 plans for Halloween.
Okay. Well, we're playing this in October. Hopefully on Halloween.
I'm down.
Okay. That's we made a date.
I'm down.
All right. That's a great
play
game.
date.
This is a great game. I love Cthulhu Death May Die, but when I thought of the spooky theme, I just didn't put it on the list.
Got it.
Maybe because I put it on the other list, but I just didn't put it on the list. My number one is equally as spooky. In the whole fact that you're getting chased around a ship by the aliens. And this is Nemesis. So you knew Nemesis was probably on there. Now, Nemesis and Cthulhu Death May Die could both fit on there.
Yep.
In Nemesis, it is very thematic, very atmospheric. You're making noise as you're traveling through the ship, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to see if the engines work, trying to see if you've got the ship pointed in the right direction to get to Earth. All the while getting chased by aliens or some form of creature that wants to eat your face.
Yep.
And there's just so much theme in this. There's so much. Oh, the medic just got locked behind a fiery. There's a hallway. It's full of fire. The medic can't go that way. There's an alien on the other side. Can we get to the medic, or is the medic going to get eaten? Type of thing. I'm running out of ammo, but I can go over there and take a couple pot shots, whatever else. It's just very thematic. Obviously, you can get killed in this game very early or very late, and the chances of survival they're next to nothing. They're very small. I was talking to Mel about this a little while back, but I don't think I've ever I've never won this game.
Really?
Never.
I have.
I've been in games
I've only played it once.
I've been in games where people survived and won.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever won this game.
You've never been the one to win.
No, I've never been the one to win. I did get out once, and I had a embryo inside my chest, so I lost. But anyways, my number one for spooky themes for Halloween is Nemesis.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know why. I was looking back. That's what I was looking at when you were talking. I don't know why I didn't put Nemesis on there, because it definitely fits. But for some reason, all of the lists that it doesn't have any sci-fi horror in it.
Gotcha.
But that's exactly what Nemesis, that's exactly what Aliens is.
Sure.
It's that sci-fi horror. And for some reason, I mean, Final Girl, really, if we want to squint our eye, that's one of the reasons why it's on the list
There's
anyway.
a lot of horror in there,
because
sci-fi or otherwise. Yeah.
The two versions that I've played was one was the sci-fi horror version of it. So that's the closest I got to it. But everything else, I didn't have any sci-fi horror. And I don't know
when
why.
I was younger, we used to watch Aliens during October.
Yeah.
That'd be one of our movies.
Yep.
Or Alien, the first one, would be one of our movies to watch during October. But
that's cool. That'll be cool.
There we go.
That's a great list. These are we had 2 crossovers, I think?
We had 2 crossovers.
2 crossovers?
No, 2 crossovers.
So that's 16 different games that you can check out for your Halloween soiree, whatever it might be. Or maybe you're not having a Halloween soiree. Maybe you just want to play something spooky. Go for it. These are 16 games that would be
18 if you can do math.
I can't.
We had 2 crossovers.
I can't. Well, 2 crossover 2, that means 4.
No, they don't. You can't get rid of the 2 that are crossovers. You're telling them not to play the crossovers.
No, play the crossovers.
Yeah.
And then there's 16 other games.
That's right. That's what he meant to say.
Anyway, there we go. I can't do math. I'll be the first one to tell you that. Anyway, go check these out. If you haven't already, go watch the other bottom 5, this 10 through 6 of this list over on the Dice Tower. You can find that description below. Let us know here in the comments what you think. What are your favorite spooky games to play in October? And we'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
We'll see you later. Happy Halloween or October or whatever else you
Happy
want it to be.
Spooktober.
That's right.